Char friends, welcome back. So we're in day 4 of the 2-3 emotional 6.5 day sequence. Now, this large graph here is showing the entire 6.5 day sequence for the 2-4, and this white rectangle is showing the 24-hour period that is day 4. Okay, so let's just take a little review here. If we go back 24 hours, we can see it was relatively calm here. We had a little upshoot in the third person irritation, and in the beginning of day 4 or day 3, we had a little upshoot in the first person irritation. But you can see day 4 relatively smooth. Now we've got just a little bump up here that reaches that 4 mark. Remember, when it gets up to the 4, that's when we're going to start to notice it a whole lot more. And what happens is when it gets to 4, there's enough electromagnetic agitation that the defensive systems of control that are strapped to our body, well, they're agitated and they're sensitized. So when these moments are happening, it's much more likely that we're going to be short with the people around us, that we're going to jump to conclusions and create conflict and stress that ultimately really doesn't help us in any way at all. All conflict and stress does is it speeds up the aging process and ensures that future states of disease are going to make the end of our life more unpleasant. So, very important today that we stay as calm as possible. Now, let's look ahead here because day 5, day 6, and day 6.5 are going to be a lot different than what we're going to experience today. You can see, especially in first person, agitation levels reach 4, hold at 4, and then start to climb up into that 6 and 7 range. So we really want to pay attention today. This 24-hour period, let's set the tone here. Let's stay calm, let's stay cool, let's stay collectively balanced. And that way, when tomorrow comes, we don't have any additional stress to worry about. All right, so let's move down here and talk about objective now. Now, objective is getting simpler and simpler to talk about. In space-time reality, there are only 8 things that we have to balance. And in every relationship in our life, we should be trying to balance these 8 perspectives and talking about them with all the people in our life. Now, if there are certain people in our life that we aren't talking about balancing these relations at these all 8 levels, then expect that you are going to be out of balance. If your relationships are out of balance, your body is out of balance. And that's what these are showing you here. So the green is the upper left quadrant, the yellow is the upper right quadrant, the orange is the lower left quadrant, and the red is the lower right quadrant. If any of your quadrants are having any kind of complications, unpleasantness, something doesn't feel right in your body, it's because your relationships are unbalanced and the relationships on either side of these colors are telling you exactly what relationships are tied to those quadrants. Okay, that's enough about that. We're trying to keep this as simple as possible so you realize whether you're dealing with your family, whether you're dealing with coworkers, whether you're dealing with a stranger you just met on the side of the street, you should be thinking and they should be thinking about how do I balance these 8 perspectives? If that's not what you're doing, if your routine is only balancing a few of these perspectives, well, every time we're tested on the ones we're not balancing, that means destructive interference is happening. The way frequency works is it's really simple. You're either in frequency or you're out of it. If you're in frequency, your body can stay healthy, things will get better, your experiences go smoother. If you're out of frequency, things are not going to go smoother and your body's not going to feel great. When you're out of frequency, it causes destructive interference. That's what accelerates aging. That's what causes disease. All right. So now we're going to go down and we're going to look at the 24-hour period for today. All right. So this is the 24-hour period that we're going to evaluate. And here it is. We've blown it up for you. Now, as always, we have all 24 offsets, all 24 time zone offsets. All you need to know is what your offset is, whether it's positive or negative. Then you'd want that to be up here so you know that that's your right time zone and you would take a snapshot of this. Once your time zone is set, it arranges these times here so you know exactly when all the electromagnetic peaks are going to happen today. And you also know when you're going to be tested and which quadrants of the body are going to be tested heavier according to those times. All right, so now that we're into the 24-hour sequence here, let's get into the first and third person and combined polarity points. These are the points that will agitate us. And it's not that we see this stuff, and sometimes we don't even know it's happening until it's too late. So you really want to stay conscious to how you're speaking to people, making sure you're clear, making sure you're communicating in a way that can't be misconstrued as anything other than cooperative. All right, so today, really, it's kind of laid back here. You can see in the first 12 hours, there's a couple little spike ups in third person and in first person. It barely reaches that 4 mark. So really hoping it's pretty easy for people today, but you still want to pay attention. Now, when we transition into the second 12-hour period in today's 24-hour section, you can see the combined agitation reaches level 4. You can also see that the third person agitation is reaching level 4. Third person agitations, these are the bigger things. These are the things that we want to see at the larger social levels. Now, you got to be careful here. We don't want to be fighting about anything that doesn't create balance. And that's really what's happening in our world right now. We have all this social tension. We have political parties. We've got nations that can't get along, and they all have different ideas about what's balanced and what's not balanced. I promise you, when we all start to focus on balancing all 8 perspectives together, we've got nothing more to argue about. So just be cautious today. Don't get pulled into the news feed. Don't double down on your side. Try to learn about the other perspectives today and try to expand your own. And definitely don't cause reactions that are defensive, that create more stress and tension in your life. Because if you get irritated out in society, you got to go home. And a lot of people got people around them when they get home. You don't want to bring that agitation home. So just eliminate that by not even investing in that argument. Okay, so now let's transition into alignments. The alignment charts today are pretty quiet. There's 2 alignments, and they start here in the first 12 hours of this next 24-hour section. Now, they're both in the M and E level. Now, this is a relatively strong alignment. M is a 7.5 day frequency, E is a 3.5 hour frequency. The first alignment is going to be testing our first person perspectives of immature females or daughters. Now, in every immature female or daughter type perspective or relationship that you have, you just want to make sure that you're not only focused on helping them see the importance in balancing all 8 perspectives, but you're learning how to talk with them and do it in a way that causes the least amount of tension and defensive reactions as we're trying to bring our bigger concepts and our goals together, both at the individual, family, national, and world level. Okay, so that alignment's happening right here. It's going to happen for 1.5 hours. Now, if you happen to hurt in the left lower quadrant, that's a direct hit. It tells you you need to do better at expanding that relationship with those specific individuals and how to try to balance with those individuals with all 8 perspectives. Okay, so the other alignment we need to talk about today is this time alignment. You can see this one is 2.75 hours long. It's an M and E as well. This is going to affect the upper right quadrant of the body. Now, this has to do with national perspective today. Okay. So when you see the yellows or the greens, those are the larger perspectives. That's national or world perspectives. And really, this is just something that we want to talk about. What can we do at the national level? No matter what nation you're in, you could be having conversations with all the people in your life, regardless of the nation, on how do we come together with strategies that are going to help us all, that are going to affect us in a positive way, that are going to stabilize this social unrest, going to stabilize our environmental conflict. Those are the things. Now, if you have issues with right upper quadrant today, it's just telling you you need to refine your routine a little bit and include thinking about, talking about, and trying to act on your national awareness. Okay, pretty simple stuff here. So those would be direct hits if you don't feel well. If you don't feel well, obviously, come to our site, use our space-time technology, pump in the times. We can give you the specifics on what it is you're going to want to do in the future because all of these tests are cyclical. That's why our pain cycles up and down, why it gets bad, then it gets better. I promise you, if you have a problem with this today, it's coming back. So we definitely want to have a strategy where we start to work at that going forward in the future. Okay, so let's keep moving here. Now we're down to the objective in the 24-hour period, and we're going to also look at the macro position. So the macro frequencies, these are the longest, the strongest and most powerful frequencies. There are tons of frequencies that happen in a 24-hour period. These are the 10 that really set the tone. Now, before we even start looking at this, I want you to look at the distribution here. So let's just look on the right side. We've got 4 macros here. We've got 3 macros here. So 7 of the 10 macros listed are on right side of the body today. So what that means is expect right upper quadrant and right lower quadrant issues today if you're having any issues balancing these 8 perspectives. Specifically, we're going to worry more about right side today just because the position of these. Now, as always, when we look at the left here, there's only 3 and they're all in the left lower quadrant. So left lower quadrant could be an issue today, and the M, that's the strongest frequency. The small m is the second strongest frequency, and P1, that's the first 12-hour sequence. That's going to be happening here. So since we're talking about this left, let's just go right to the left quadrant right now. You can see that this is testing relatively heavy today. It would not be uncommon, even though a lot of the macros are sitting on the right side of the body today, this left side will probably be talking to a few people. So don't be surprised if you feel more on the left, especially in the first 12 hours because of this P1. Okay, so now let's look at the right lower extremity since we've already started on the extremities on the bottom side here. Same thing, this isn't quite as heavy. We're in between the 2 and the 4 versus up here, we're above the 4 for most of the time. So I'm not expecting as much on the right side, but remember, we've got a lot of extra stuff happening on the right side. So really, both sides of the low back today are possible. You'd want to document the times. Knowing the times will allow us to help you to specifically understand where you want to focus right away. So when these cyclical tests come back, you do better the next time. All right, so let's end out here on the upper quadrants. Now, the left upper quadrant has really been light here. So I hope people have been enjoying that and haven't had much trouble with left upper quadrant. The highest it gets today is 3. That's in the second 12-hour period. And look at over here. There are no macros in the left quadrant. Does that mean you can't have problems in the left quadrant? No, you could definitely have problems in the left quadrant. It's just not mathematically probable today. Now, right upper quadrant, on the other hand, very mathematically probable. We've got 4 macros sitting in the upper left, and the upper left is testing at 4 and reaches all the way up into the 6 zone today. And it stays pretty steady the entire time. Now, this can affect anything in that yellow zone. So don't think that this just affects the shoulder or the arm or the hand. This can affect head, face, sinuses, memory, all kinds of stuff. So pay attention to that. Now, that's the overall view for today. I think that's enough. We got through this. Now, there's a couple bonus things I've done here for you. So, space-time pattern confirms Teton pass catastrophic failure. For anybody that didn't know this, the main pass that goes into the state parks in Wyoming there, well, it collapsed. And what we did, it took me some time to find the accurate times of when this happened. But once I did, I wanted to post this so you can specifically see that every event, major or small, is tied to these space-time clocks, and it predicts everything and explains why it's happening, why unpleasant happens. Definitely take the time to check that out. Uh, in addition, we got a couple other videos down here that are definitely essential to check out. One shows you how to use our tech to immediately improve sleep quality and your body's ability to heal. And the last one we still have down here is how to get the space-time clocks right on your phone. Now, I have no problem with people taking pictures of this, especially if internet is an issue. If you're in a rural area or you don't have good internet, you're going to want to snapshot this and put this on your phone and be able to bring it up. But really, the best way to do this is to navigate to our homepage. And then what you'd want to do is just go to the Space-Time Live feed. When you go to the Space-Time Live feed, what it's going to do is it's going to show you exactly where the position is of these clocks at that time. We can't make it any easier than that for you. Okay, so it took a minute for it to come up, but this is what I was talking about. So at any time of the day, something happens, you don't know what just happened, you can open this up, you can look at this live feed, and it shows you exactly where the time bar is. Please use this. This is very helpful, especially if things start to come unglued. You definitely want to refine your approach to things, try to stay calm, try to stay collective, try to work out any stress that comes up, and that'll make the day better for sure. All right, that's enough for today. We'll talk to you next time.